But my beats, they are hard.
All right, good evening. Welcome to another live episode of the BCSN SportsWrap. And look who's back. The gang is all here. Ryan Fulford, A.D. Drew, back together again. Reunited, and it feels so good. Good to see you, Drew. How you doing, man?
Hey, I guess you got my memo of my facts this week. You know, I tried to send the Michael Jordan facts last week, and apparently you didn't get it, so you didn't meet me at the press conference to let everybody know that I was coming back.
Right. I was already on vacation, bro. I cut the fax machine off and everything. I was gone. I'm out. I told y'all I was gone. I was on vacation, taking a mental health break. I should have taken a mental health break this week.
Yeah, you took it the wrong one because
wrong week.
Anybody who's a fan of the team that you have on your wall, my beloved alma mater, your beloved alma mater, yeah, go ahead, y'all. We may brag different, but y'all gonna talk a lot of shit to us today. And we deserve it. We deserve it. If you can't dish it, you have to learn to take it. So
you see these shoulders, Drew?
Yeah.
You see these shoulders? These shoulders are pretty damn big, pretty damn strong. So come on. It's all good. It's all good. You know, I tried. Well, this how crazy it is, Drew. I tried to come from a different perspective this morning, right? Because I felt the vitriol. Look, I had a good night Saturday night. Even despite the loss, I was somewhere where I had a good time. Regardless of the game. I didn't let the game ruin me. But, I saw what was going on out in the streets. You know what I'm saying? I was looking out my window. I saw the chaos and folks running rampant, throwing fireballs in the streets. But I said, so I woke up this morning, man, reminded that God is good, and we serve a greater purpose. And I tried, Drew. I saw some messages that were telling me, hey, Bryan, come from a different perspective at folks this morning. So I tried, Drew. I tried putting photos out there. I tried to do a video. Man, the hate that I got, it was like unreal, man. I tell you, they called me out my name and everything. They were like, man, take that shiggity on somewhere. We don't want to hear your positivity, And so, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Exactly. That's the question today. Are you glad, sad, or mad? That's I think that sums up the HBCU diaspora today, right? Because I think there's a large portion of everybody fits into one of these three categories today. Drew. We got people who are happy that they won championships. They clinched championships. They clinched a division championship. They clinched a berth to a championship. Then you got people who are just sad. They're sad about what's going on with their team, with the program. Some people are already in basketball mode, basketball season, and then there are people who are just mad. I know a particular fan base, they're just mad today. But anyway, I mean, so I don't know how anybody, if you are indifferent, let me say this, Drew. If you are indifferent, then I applaud you, but I can tell you're not a fan. You're just casually passing by through this HBCU sporting diaspora, right?
All I can say is, damn you, FAMU.
Yeah, indeed. we want to thank everybody for coming in. If you found the show, we appreciate you finding us. However, Facebook, Instagram, X, at MyBCSN1. If you're watching us on the Jericho Broadcast Network's YouTube page, we thank you for stopping by. Become a subscriber of the channel. All of the shows that we do here on the Black College Sports Network are in part on this channel. So hit the thumbs up button or become a subscriber. Even become a JBN subscriber as well. We appreciate your monthly donation and your contributions into what it is that we do here. And so, yeah, with that said, I say a quick hello and shout out to everybody. Coach Farasi coming up at the bottom of the hour, as we always do around this time. At the top of hour 2, Chris Ferguson. Something big is going on right now, Drew. What is that that's happening right live as we are having our show?
That would be the selection show that I am trying to keep an eye on, but since I had to refresh my screen that I was watching it on, it went back to the beginning of the doggone selection show. It won't let me just fast forward back to where I was at. So I've got to watch it again.
Yeah. So
I see my guy Royal, Jackson State alum, played hooped over at Jackson State, coaches basketball here in the Atlanta metro area. Always reminds me that he went to Jackson State. Yeah. Well, we'll see if you hopefully your boys, or maybe depending on where you're at, Southern's gonna have something to say about it to see which one of y'all make it down here to the 8.
Yeah.
Jackson State. Congratulations, Southern Jaguars. And I know you're about to get into this. Bryan, did we ever think we would have both the East and the West wrapped up this early? Along with the SWAC the MEAC being wrapped up this early?
Look, we've got 3. Look, I jokingly said this in our text group, but man, I can't wait the fact that we get to talk about Jackson State and Southern for 3 weeks. Like 3 whole weeks of breaking down Jackson State versus Southern in every possible way, in every angle that we can, So that's what we get to do for 3 consecutive weeks. And I don't know, is it 3 weeks or is it 2 weeks? I think it's 3 weeks.
3 weeks, December 7th.
Yeah. And yeah, South Carolina State. Okay, so all right. There's a number of different ways we can go, Drew. We got, like I said, we got championships to talk about. We got berths that are clinched. We got streaks that came to an end. We got teams fighting post game. I mean, even the game that I did, Drew. This is why I said it's something in the water at this time of year. Because even the game that I did, I called a game down at Florida Memorial. Shout out to the Florida Memorial.
That wasn't even a conference game. That's the first time the kids have been from California. Probably. Yeah. Well, they was in Tallahassee last year, but they never been to Miami.
The officials called the game with now Florida Memorial was up 48-8. They called the game with 6 minutes to go after an incident that happened, Drew. And it almost got really bad. And fortunately, it didn't. I think in large part because Lincoln had about less players. Well, no, let me take that back. Lincoln University had as many players as the 1A high school football team at my high school, which is about 35 kids, 33 kids.
Don't tell me they had people playing both ways.
Of course they had people playing both ways. The same 6'9" dude who at the end of the game got into a fight, he was the offensive tackle and he was the defensive end as well. So yeah,
But Bryan, you were broadcasting that game on another network.
Right.
Here's the difference, Bryan. What did y'all do with that network? Did y'all cut the feed?
Actually, we the producer did he pulled away, and he didn't zoom in, and they stayed on a wide shot. So yeah, we didn't show as much of it as what ESPN showed of the Central. Which game was that? North Carolina Central Howard. They didn't spend as much time on that one.
Yeah. And Bryan, not to be cutting you off, I'm looking at the selections come up right now. Valdosta State is the number 1 seed in the Super Region 2.
Right. Some of you guys in the chats already
Miles
on top of it.
Oh, holy crap! Miles has a home game. Everybody.
Whoa!
Miles is the number 4 seed.
Okay.
Yes, Miles is at home. They will face Carson Newman.
Yep. And I'm seeing Virginia Union will be as a 2 seed, or they're in as a 2 seed at Wingate, is what Lawrence had said as well.
Yeah, I told you I had to restart the video. I had to restart the video. So
okay, so you're behind.
Yeah, I'm behind everybody, but I am gonna act like I'm giving live play-by-play to everybody. Wingate is
okay.
the number
I'm glad
2.
you said that, because then I'll hold off on the chats. I'll hold off on the chats because everybody in the chat, they're on top of it.
Yeah, y'all please, y'all already saw the movie. I'm watching it. Y'all went to the premiere. I'm watching it at the matinee the next day. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So while you're doing that, I'll go to some of the graphics. We'll start with
Virginia Union. Virginia Union gets in. They're facing Wingate. They're facing number 2 seeded Wingate. And it's kind of shocking that they actually allow Virginia Union to stay in this region, because a lot of times those northern teams, the Virginia or even Bowie State at once upon a time, have gotten moved to Super Region 1. I did not expect Virginia Union to remain in this particular region. Rounding out the region, West Alabama, who defeated Miles, I believe that was game 1, is the number 3 seed. And they'll be facing Lenoir-Rhyne, who is 9-2. West Alabama will be the host school. So Miles win. They'll be heading down to where I used to live at, Valdosta. So it's going to be fun. And yes, Union and Miles. Should they obviously say it's Union and Miles should face off? It will be for the regional championship, which is a good thing that they're. But I like the fact that they're opposite and don't have to face each other in one of those early rounds.
All right, so another game that won't happen. I'm wrong.
So you want to face each other in early rounds, and then, but I guess if they would have faced each other in early rounds, we would have had a HBCU national championship game, possibly.
Look, we've wished for that so many times. I've stopped wishing. I'm not even throwing that quarter. I'm not throwing that quarter in the pool, Drew. I'm not even wishing for that anymore.
I'll go back to that. Hey, Lawrence, if the CIAA goes back to Super Region 1, who replaces the CIAA in Super Region 2? Because that's the one thing. They can't just move them to Super Region 1 without putting somebody else in Super Region 2. So if you have that information, Lawrence, please pass that on to me, because I have heard something along those lines, which is kind of why they kind of have always split the CIAA teams. Teams traditionally from the old CIAA South stayed in Super Region 2, but teams from the old CIAA North have tended to go towards Super Region 1. A la Union last year. I think Bowie State went up there a couple of years ago during their runs also. So.
All right, Drew, let's do this. Let's table the conversation on the D2 playoffs. We got Chris Ferguson at the top of hour 2, and we can get deep into the woods with that when Chris comes on. Chris, of course, was at the CIAA championships this past week.
Which is another one that had a fight.
Yeah. Okay. And we will talk about that stuff with Farasi at the bottom. But let's get the games out of the way, because a lot of compelling games that took place on Saturday.
Thanks, Lawrence.
We had championships that took place in the SIAC. Miles gets their 9th win of the season with a 53-25 win over Clark at home. What was the first time they met? It was like 48-20 something. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so I mean, nothing new here. Miles jumped out on Clark 16-0 in the first quarter. Clark started slow as they have been doing all year. Managed to get a couple touchdowns in the second quarter, but still at the half, the score was 29-14, and then really from there, Miles kind of controlled the ball game, scoring 2 more times in the third quarter to go up 39-14. A Clark safety cut it to 39-16, but at that point, you kind of had a feeling where it was going. Clark did score a touchdown at the start of the fourth quarter to cut it to 39-23, but then Miles came back and answered with 2 more scores. So in total, a total domination by Miles. First title since 2019. Sam Shade, who essentially, I really enjoyed the interview he did with Dr. Cavill. If you listen to that on, I think it was Thursday.
That was Thursday, yes.
Yeah, that was a really good interview. I enjoyed listening to that on the train down to South Florida. He basically had to rebuild this program after Ruffin had left for Tuskegee. 1-9 the first year. I know a lot of people were shaking their head, kind of like, how'd you go 1-9? And then the next year turned around, had a great season, probably could have won 9 wins last year. But this year, they actually get the job done. I
think he came within maybe like 6-7 points of 3 additional victories last year.
Yeah, I heard him say something about me. I think it was even lower than that, Drew. I think he said it was maybe like 4 points or something like that.
Yes.
In that contest. So yeah, pretty much they dominated that contest. I think one of the big stats that I heard someone say, and I'm just kind of looking at the box score to confirm it, was that turnovers were a big part of this contest. As David Wright, he threw 4 interceptions in the contest. The backup quarterback threw 2. So a total of 6 interceptions. You can't beat a team as good as Miles when you have 6 interceptions. I didn't even look at how many fumbles. They had 2 fumbles. Wait a minute. Is that right?
2 lost fumbles?
2 lost fumbles, yeah. So a total of 8 turnovers. 8 turnovers.
Be happy they only scored 53.
Yeah. Just definitely be happy about that. So Clark finishes at 7-3, 6-2. They did have the player of the year in David Wright. Again, second year in a row. He's won player of the year, 2 different programs. Who was the coach of the year again, Drew? Was it Shade?
It was Shade. Shade edged out Teddy Keaton for SIAC coach of the year. And there's an argument both ways on which one of them was more deserving of coach of the year. Obviously, Sam Shade, 8-0 at the time of the vote in conference, 9-0 after the championship game within conference. But you're talking about a Teddy Keaton who went from 0-10 to the conference championship game. So exactly, you can make your argument either way. And Bryan, I know this is a cop out. Honestly, there should have been co-coaches of the year. I don't know how many votes would have needed to be flipped, but you really can't take anything away from it. They
beat Clark. It'd be different if they had never played. If they didn't play during this regular season, Drew, I would buy in 100% to the co-coach of the year thing. But Miles beat Clark. I mean, handily. It wasn't even a close game. I think that means something.
And I have to give you that. I have to give you that.
Yeah.
But 0-10 to championship game.
Oh no, great storyline. Yeah, great storyline. I mean, storyline of the year. Look, and there's so many storylines from the D2 level because I mean Johnson C. Smith's coach as well. Turnaround. Turnaround from Johnson C. Smith was also Livingstone's turnaround. I mean, program
the whole South.
Yeah, thank you. The whole CIAA South in what they did. I mean, and the fact that no team from
even
the South
Fayetteville State coming back to the pack.
Yeah,
even Fayetteville State coming back to the pack is a storyline.
Right. No, but as crazy as all that said, Drew, not one old CIAA South team was in the championship game
because they beat up on each other.
Right? And
if you remember. If you remember when about midway, right when conference play started, I said the SIAC will sneak back into this and the North will sneak back into this because all those South teams, when they played, because the schedule was still set North-South, even though they had everybody in one pot this year. I was like, the South would start eliminating themselves just because of the head-to-head competition. And that's exactly what wound up happening in the CIAA.
Right. So again, we'll talk about Miles. And again, you said, where is Miles going again? Just give that again one more time.
Miles is staying at home.
Hosting
Miles staying
again.
at home. Miles
as
is
a
staying at
4
home.
seed. Man, I tell you that against who? Carson Newman.
Yes, that's a shocker.
What's the shocker? The fact that they're playing Carson Newman, or the fact that they're hosting?
The fact that they're hosting, and I have to go through and look and see what happened. Because Miles was 6, so I have to see who lost ahead of them.
A couple
in
people
order
lost.
to allow it.
Ferguson talked about this. Chris mentioned that, and that's why he thought there was a slim chance that Johnson C might get in. And I think he was basing it on Virginia Union going to the Atlantic. If Virginia Union had gone to Atlantic, he thought because of a couple of losses that, and he can explain it later in hour 2 when he comes on. But I saw some tweets, and he thought that win or a couple of people's losses might actually advance some teams, a Johnson C, into the South, right? So that was his thought. Okay, we mentioned the CIAA championship, back-to-back champs for Dr. Alvin Parker, Virginia Union. Remember, they were not the preseason favorite. A lot of people were in Virginia State's bag, and this was a rematch of the rivalry from a week ago where Virginia State had beat them 35-28. Union came back to answer, and boy, did they answer in this one. Let me see, total yards, Virginia Union 355 to 351, 259 on the ground, and that means, you know what that means? That man, Jada Byers, 178 net yards on 32 carries, 1 touchdown. I heard you mentioned Drew this morning. He definitely should be for consideration for the Harlan Hill, which is Division II Player of the Year. Explain again how that works, because it's done by region voting before they get to the national level.
Yes, it is done by regional voting. The regions are based on the way that the super regions are set up now. So, people have their opportunity, SIDs, and other people have the opportunity to nominate people from their respective institution. There's a committee that puts them together. They create a list of regional finalists, and then those of us who have a vote get an opportunity to vote. And then from there, from your region, you eliminate it down, and then you get a national vote. So that's how it tends to work. And right now, Bryan, Jada Byers is number 2 in Division II in rushing. 1,670 yards. This is through yesterday. And he ranks number 2, and he's almost 400 yards behind, about just over 300 yards behind the number 1 person in Division II, that being Siobhan Wright of Charleston of West Virginia, who has already eclipsed 2,000 yards on the season.
But
and I believe Charleston is that the same conference that West Virginia State is in, if I remember correctly.
But look at those numbers by the young man who's in front of Byers. If I'm not mistaken, he's done that in way more carries. Like, I think the number of carries by Byers is a little different, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's see.
If you look at the total number of carries.
Okay, rush yards per carry. I'm going to that step right now. Rush yards per carry. Jada Byers is number 4 in the nation, yards per carry, averaging 6.76 yards per carry. And let's see, the guy who leads it, he's Wright, who leads the nation in yardage, is averages 6.43 yards per carry. So yes, he is ahead of them in yards per carry.
I mean, but the number of attempts, like if you look at the rushing attempts,
Byers has 247 attempts, and let me sort by that. Byers is number 2 in attempts. The guy who's leading them has 312 attempts on the season. So Byers is number 2.
60 more carries. I mean,
Byers has 247 yard attempts, and he's number 2.
I mean, so 60 more carries and 400 more yards. I mean, come on now. You know, I'm just saying, you know, you can look at it and kind of see the difference there. So, you know,
and correct me if I'm wrong. I know there was a couple of games Byers did not play a whole lot in a couple of games due to I think one was due to an injury and one was due to CD, coach's decision.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, that's so I don't know. It'll be kind of interesting to see how they break that down. But yeah, so congratulations to the MVP of the championship game, as well as the MVP of the conference.
Yes, conference player of the year.
Yeah, conference player of the year. Now, you know, Drew, you did mention that there was a brawl or something happened. I haven't seen video of this as much as I have seen video of the other incident. You know, regarding Jackson State, Alabama State,
Central,
Howard, North Carolina Central. But I am reading a statement that came out this morning from the CIAA commissioner regarding post-game altercation. Virginia State University and Virginia Union University competed in the championship on Saturday, the 16th in Salem, Virginia. The event ended in an on-field brawl between the two teams. The official statement from Commissioner Jackie Williams Parker: I am disappointed and heartbroken regarding the behaviors of two of our best teams at the conclusion of our 107th football championships. The conference will investigate and manage per its bylaws and processes for unsportsmanlike behavior and misconduct. It is disappointing that our story and narrative for this championship did not end with the story that should be told as part of the CIAA legacy, leadership, and community. So that's the statement, Drew. You know, again, no videos yet, but I hope I don't. Look, I don't know. You know, I'm sure we'll see it, but we can talk more with Kris about it coming up. All right, let's take a break and let's get Farasi in here because we're on a schedule. We got to keep our schedule tight tonight for this show. So we got Coach Farasi coming up here after this break. We'll get into him talking about some of the topics of just coaching stuff. I mean, I'm less into the games at this point, Drew. You know, I know we always bring in Coach to bring in talking about the games, but there's some other bigger topics regarding football and as a coach. And I think as a coach who's looking to get in, I think I'd love to hear his thoughts on what he's seeing in college football today. So I think it's a topic worth having a few minutes of discussion about. So hopefully we can have a short, nuanced, insightful conversation about it. And then we'll get into covering the D2 stuff. And yes, we will congratulate again Jackson State, Southern University for winning their divisions. Congratulations to you guys. I know you guys, you know, Tiger Nation, you guys are waiting. You know, we're not going to be eating any crow. I'm just going to say congratulations. Hold on, Drew. I even got graphics. How about this? Can I show graphics just to make them feel good? See, look. Congratulations, champs. I got graphics. See? There you go. I don't want y'all to feel slighted like nobody loves y'all. You know, Jackson State, congratulations, 7-0. They play Alcorn coming up, so they got to finish the job to go unbeaten in the East, which will make 4 consecutive years that the Eastern Division winner will go unbeaten. So, you know, no pressure. And look,
they haven't gone unbeaten yet. They haven't gone unbeaten yet.
No, they haven't gone unbeaten yet. But, you know, the commissioner, Dr. Charles McClellan, was in the house giving Coach T.C. Taylor their trophy. So celebrations all around. Congratulations, Jackson State. You are the East Division champs. So see, don't tell me I hate. There's no hate here. It's all love. It's just, petty fun. But all right, coming up after the break, we got Coach Farasi coming in. So hang tight. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Hello, my name is Farasi Norman, and
I guess the audio didn't translate right.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I was like, excuse me.
My bad. That's what when you try to do this.
Hold on, Drew. I'm gonna tell you where to put that. Put it in the on the panel on the right where it says video clips. Will it go in? Can you put it in there? That's where it needs to go.
Hey, when I heard that, I said,
Hello,
My bad.
It's all good.
I'll try that again.
Hey, can you three hear me? Hey, I'm glad to see you, man. It's been a while since we all three been there on the play. Hey, can I get a group hug real quick? Like Damon said to Ice Cube and hey, can I get a group hug? All right.
Good stuff. There we go.
Hey, the three amigos back together again. Let's ride.
Good to have you, Coach. Good to have you back on.
Hey,
Coach.
good to always build my friends. AD, how you been, brother? It's been, I don't know, 5-6 days since we spoke. Where you been? Been all right? you been all right? Now, hey, if you're in trouble, blink.
Hey, look, I was at the train station. They had a thing up about if you were like abducted or something, like if you're in trouble, there's like hand signals that you're supposed to put up, like to let a police officer know like you're in trouble. Like you're supposed to do like something like this or something if you're in trouble. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know. It's some kind of hand signal that you're supposed to throw up to the police officer if you're in trouble. And I'm in the bathroom and I'm like, you know, it was something that had to do with trafficking.
Hey,
so anyway.
Hey, BF, that's too much, brother. That's too much. Come on, man. That's too much.
Hey, I want to read a quick text that you sent me. And Coach, I love that you said this. And this is why I tell people, this is why I had a good Saturday night and why I woke up in a renewed spirit. And I chose peace. You know, some of y'all still choosing violence. I chose peace this morning, but y'all won't let me have it. But anyway, Coach texted me this. He said, remember, even though we love our alma mater, it's just a game. Coach, I appreciate that. And no it's problem. Sort of why I posted what I said, that, you know, as much as we as fans hurt, man, there's a lot of coaches, a lot of players that, I mean, are on there. Some of them are experiencing the joys of all the hard work. Some of them are experiencing a lot of pain for disappointing a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? And yes, so you've been in that situation, you've been in that role. How do you process the disappointment of letting a fan base down and letting people who have such high expectations for you down versus that other side of that? I mean, I think we all know how to handle joy. I think we all handle joy the same, but it's processing disappointment when, especially in this day and age, everybody's got an outlet. And it's why I said what I said. A lot of people are real tough behind their text and their computers, but you won't say that in person. And you won't say it in person to that coach, that player, or even that other person on the other side of that computer screen. You won't say it to them in their face.
You're right.
So
You're right. You got a lot of soft individuals out there. I've never been that way. I told everybody I'm from the ghetto, from the barrio. I grew up with blacks and Mexicans. So if you got something to say, pull up on someone, all that typing behind a window and all that stuff, that's not, to me, that's not manly. That's me. I'm Farasi Norman. That's not manly, man. You know, I mean, what mama and grandma taught me a little, if you got nothing nice to say, keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. Now, let me say a couple things before we get rolling. Shout out to LU. You know, we won our last one, so we went 6-4 this year. Shout out to Quentin Morgan and my boys at Langston University. You know, we started off a little slow, but Quentin and the fellas got together. Thank you for that out there. Now,
just because you're out the school on this panel who won a game, you don't have to rub it in.
Well, hold on. I wasn't rubbing it in. I was just giving a shout out. I'm not against FAMU. I'm not against you guys. But do know this. Let's go back, and you guys can. And I saw Dr. Bills earlier, and someone said, Farasi said all year long, Mississippi Valley had a good team. And people saying, what are you looking at, Coach? I'm saying they got a good team. Kind of like I said, Bethune, they got a good team. And remember, I told you guys this. I said, you're going to have to learn to score more points because if not, someone's going to get you. Now, I'm not thinking it's going to be Valley, but I'm just saying them 18, 17 points you're doing, that's not enough. You know, I mean, you're too talented. You should easily be scoring 38, 42 points a game. Now, I'm not throwing knives at no coaches. I don't know nobody on that staff. But remember, I said it earlier in the season. I'm saying you guys are going to have to score more points. If not, something's going to happen. Now, was I saying you were going to get hit at Bragg by Valley? No, I didn't see that coming. I told BF, if someone gets Fred Frosty, I give you $10 million, Mississippi Valley's going to beat Bragg. I said, but you keep your money because that's not happening. But that's why we call it a game called football, because when it hits, it bounces any kind of way. Shout out to Mississippi Valley. I saw the interview Coach Wade said. I never knew this. I don't know if you guys knew this. Mississippi Valley has never beat FAMU. Even in the Archie Cooley days, they never beat FAMU. So that's something good, especially for that brother on a 15-game losing streak. People talking about they won his head. He's from the area. He went to school there. I mean, when you pull up to school every day and you see your team and your coaches and the AD and everybody, you know, it's got to be a sad feeling because you're not doing what you said you were going to do. Because we as coaches, when we come through the door, we have a portfolio of how we can get this done. Well, unfortunately, Valley sets anyone up behind the 8 ball. You only get 40 scholarships. You're allowed, what, 56? Am I not correct? Craig, 56 at that level?
63.
Okay, well, they only get 40. So they're 20-some scholarships behind. They just now redid their stadium. They redid the scoreboard, uniforms, helmets. And like I told Charles when we did that show that one time, that all goes into recruiting. But still, them scholarships, minus them scholarships hurt. So them brothers down there working. And so I feel his pain because I've never been in that situation of losing. I'm not a loser, and I'm not trying to throw knives at them, but I understand because I've lost before. I mean, I've been beat 77-0, and I've beaten people 77-0. So you know the feeling. So you just have to feel about it on a 15-game losing streak, and then you get ready to go beat the big dogs. But you know, there's this thing in football we take in our hands, and we got a little hammer. It's called a rock. If you just keep hitting it, and you just keep hitting it, and you just keep hitting it, eventually it's gonna crack. And unfortunately, it cracked that Bragg, which is huge for them. Huge for them. Now, I don't know if they're going to get that brother another year. I would. I'm the AD. Hey, because of what that happened, you get another year because you just beat the big dog, which means FAMU. I know you guys are feeling sad, but look at it this way. I was thinking about this last night. I know you guys are feeling sad, but look at it this way. He's probably going to get another year, him and his coaches, which means they get another paycheck. They get to take care of their families and feed kids. Shout out to FAMU. How you want to take that?
Yeah.
I give to charity, but that ain't how I want to give, my brother.
I got you. I got you.
That 15. Let me just contextualize the history that was made in that game. Again, 15-game losing streak by Mississippi Valley State, going into a place where team like 23 previous opponents had lost. Nobody in the SWAC had ever won there. And what worried me, and I mentioned it on Wednesday, here comes it. Look, what Jackson, them getting beat the way they got beat by Jackson State, you could probably chalk that up a lot. Probably 50% to Jackson State just being as good as they are, and the other 50% to learning that your teammate had died. Like that had just happened. So processing all that, I didn't see the game, but I can't even imagine. But them having a chance to process that and coming to Tallahassee with the biggest thing to always, Coach, you know this, when you can rally your team around something, that's a powerful tool. And that team didn't make any mistakes, no turnovers. I mean, you go look at Valley's whole season. They probably made turnovers in every game. No turnovers. And so you had to play a perfect game to beat FAMU in Tallahassee. And that's what they did. FAMU didn't play perfect. 3 fumbles that could have been, so one of them was in scoring opportunity and range. So they played a perfect game. And that's what it takes sometimes, right? You got
against a team like FAMU. Oh yeah, you got to play perfectly. And I imagine the coaches was telling them that, like, hey fellas, we can't have mistakes. We can't throw fumbles. We can't throw interceptions. We can't miss tackles. I mean, we're talking about the biggest team in the conference here, one of the best out there in the country, everything like that. So but if Coach Wade is smart, like I know he's smart, he's probably telling his team, fellas, we're a good team. We just keep coming up short. But if we put it all together, we can win one. And hey, look what happened.
And Coach has been saying it all year. So for all of y'all in the chat room who were giving Coach hell, every time he kept saying Valley was a good team, and y'all were looking at him side-eyed like, we don't know about you, Coach. What do you keep saying Valley's a good team? And look what happened. So there you go. All right. Yeah.
All right. Coach.
Yes, sir.
Another part of this, besides dealing with losing and everything, is how our young men deal with the process of a loss.
Yeah.
This weekend alone, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 recorded incidents of post-game BS going on. You had the incident last week where players go into the stands.
Yep.
And for y'all who just think that these last 2 weeks that this has been hot, who remembers last year with Southern and FAMU?
Yeah.
When the lights got cut off.
The lights got cut off. Yeah, that almost became a thing. Yeah.
So, I mean, we've seen this. I remember being in Bragg, and I'm bringing up another FAMU incident. I was at Bragg when A&T and FAM got into it pre-pandemic. Because they had to cross each other going into locker rooms because of how the locker room situation is at Bragg. I bring this up to say, unfortunately, this is nothing new. But it seems like the last couple of 3 weeks, we are starting. One time is an incident.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple times, like we've seen, you're starting to get a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
We need to figure out to stop this pattern before it becomes a trend.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, yeah, we have more eyeballs on us now because of our contracts with that 4-letter network or that 6-letter network. Y'all do the math. Y'all figure out which one I'm talking about with that 6-letter network. That are controlling these things. And I'm gonna get off my soapbox in a minute. Either we messing up the money that these people giving us, or we messing up the money that we can get from these folks in the future. Because all they talking about now is look at them. You put all these eyeballs on them, and this is how they act. This is what I've been missing. Or, hey, you was talking about going to HBCU. You sure you want to play in that environment?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a mom and a daddy.
Mm-hmm.
These are the different things that are going on. These are the conversations that people are. Y'all hide behind y'all keyboard all y'all want to. I want to have a real conversation right here, right now. I need the coach's perspective right now, Coach Norman. First of all, we know your program would not probably be associated with something like this. But how does something like this happen?
Well, let me say this, Drew. You can't really say whose program would be associated because as a head coach, we try to do the best we can. But like I told Bryan, let me just run it down real quickly. When you recruit a young man, you let him know what is and will not be tolerated. We don't use our fists. You know, I have a no punch policy. We ain't punching players. We ain't punching coaches. We ain't punching each other. Okay. And if you throw a punch, you're dismissed here because this is not a boxing team or the MMA. This is a football team. You get to hit somebody for free and it's legal. Okay, so if you want to punch somebody, stay in the hood. Go do it. If you belong to the Crips, Bloods, Perus, GDs, BDs, all that stuff, do that. When you come here, I need a student athlete. Okay, and I let mom and dads know that. And then I say it again when we start training camp. Everybody, I got all 100 kids. I put the coach and I'm standing in front of everybody. I'm letting them know, hey, we're about to have tension. We're young men. We're buff. We're strong. We've been in the weight room. We got testosterone. So, but hey, I'm not taking the fighting. You get to hit somebody. We ain't cheap shot nobody. You get to hit somebody. Okay, and if we do that when it comes game time, guess what? I'm not going to suspend you. I'm going to get you out of here. But you got to have the backing of your AD and your president. They have to come in there and sit with your coach and say, yes, if you embarrass us on that level to where it becomes a fisticuff, a physical altercation, no matter what it looks like, 100-0, 101, 103, no matter what it looks like, you are done here. Because that's not what we stand for. And as young black men, we have to stop. Because like you said, all eyes are on us. And we all know everyone likes to use that N-word. Nowadays, some people use it as a cool term, but then there's some old school people that still use it as that term. Look at them ends. I told you. Why would you even take your network over there? You're right. And pull the plug on us. And now we're back crying. We don't get no TV time. We don't get no scouts coming.
We done lost that big A check.
Yeah, you know, and because of stuff like that. So, but you have to give that speech. And like I told BF, there's always somebody in the crowd who thinks he's special. I'm going to use me, Farasi Norman, 5'8", 220, 4'4" in the 40, 225, 25 times. I got Dallas and Redskins, well, the Commanders, and I got 25 scouts coming to see me. So I know I'm good, coach. What you going to say? You ain't going to get rid of me. I'm bringing you publicity. No, I'm going to get, yes, try me. Go ahead and just run for 350, score 5 touchdowns, and let me catch you fighting, and you'll be on the outside of that gate. That's real. I have to, because if I give you a pass, then I get the next guy's going to fight, and next guy's going to fight. And you know what they're going to say? Like I told BF earlier, you let Farasi fight, you do nothing to him. You let AD fight, you do nothing to him. So nip it in the bud, coaches. Sometimes we're being too nice out here. That's why I'm saying I got my hand up like, once again, I'm not the mean guy, but I'm not the nice guy. Cipher between them lyrics right there. I'm not the mean. Tell people, and you guys know, you know me 2 years now. I'm cooler than a fan on a hot summer's day, but I'm dead serious about my business. Fellas, we're not fighting. We're not fighting. Right. And if you do, you're done. If you do, you're done. Period. I don't care who you are. You could be the president's grandson. You're done here.
Can I please go next, Bryan?
But unfortunately, you got to repeat yourself. And we as coaches, and you guys are coaches, we don't like to repeat ourselves. But in that kind of situation, you have to. And you probably have to say it every Friday before you go after that practice, and you bring everybody, hey, good week this week. Hey, good job. And we're going to do this good. Just get ready for tomorrow. But fellas, I don't care what they say to you. It could be an all-white team. They could call you the N-word. They could say, hey, your mom. I don't care. Just look at them and say, look at the scoreboard and jog off. I need you to do that because if you don't, you won't be here. Plain and simple.
All right. I got to get this out, Bryan, and I'm going to let you go. For all y'all in the chat room who blaming the officials for that post-game fight, y'all just shut up. The officials have nothing to do with what happened after the game. The officials out there, y'all don't understand it, and a lot of y'all don't respect it because y'all talk about these officials like they're not human. But they have, outside the coaches, they have the toughest job out there to enforce the rules of the game. They see things in live time that you sit at home and have an opportunity to see it on replay. And they have to make a split-second decision. Flag, no flag. Catch, no catch. Foot in bounds, foot out of bounds. You know, was that a late hit? Was that not a late hit? Y'all shut up. Y'all don't understand what it takes to be an official. Because some of y'all done pissed me off with that. The officials have nothing to do with this. If they will keep it in, they keep it between the lines. They make sure that these guys go out and keep it between the lines. Now, once the game is over, their jurisdiction is done. Then it becomes the coaches and administrators' responsibility. But don't sit here. Yeah, they make calls that you don't agree with. I never say an official makes a bad call. They make a 50-50 call, and you're on the wrong 50 of it. So what? Get over it. Move on to the next play. Chip on to do better the next play. If you want to do right, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you don't put the official in a position to make that call, man. I'm sorry, Brian. I'm done. Let me jump off this camera before I start cussing.
No.
Hey,
I gotta go get a drink. Hold on. Let me say this. See, y'all understand. Drew is an official, so see. He's giving you a perspective. And this is what I'll say about officials, right? Coach, I listen and watch NFL, college, high school, even at the NFL level, where they're supposed to be the best officials. We complain about the officiating at the NFL. We all complain about officiating. So, I mean, look, we all are complaining about officiating. At some point, where's the accountability? What is it you say as a coach? I've heard you say this, and I say this even as a basketball coach. We have to play through the officials.
Yes,
we can't. You said you don't talk to officials. Even when I coach basketball games, I don't talk to the officials because I know 99% of the time, whatever I say is not going to change the call.
And when you go back and look at the film, 99% of the time, the ref was right. You didn't see it in real time, but when you go back and look at the film, 99% of the time they were right on their call.
Right, and you guys are buying into this. See, and this is. So okay, so when you guys complain about the officiating, and you say that the officiating seems to be bad everywhere. Then, all right. So let's just go ahead and say the officiating is bad. Okay, let's just go from that. If we know the officiating is bad, what do we have to do, Coach? We got to play through the bad officiating, right?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Make sure
that official didn't drop that ball that you had hit you right in the hands.
Thank you.
That official didn't miss the tackle. They gave up that 70-yard touchdown.
That's what I'm saying. So we have, at some point, you have to overcome, just like you have to overcome the loud crowd. You have to overcome the fans who are being unruly in the crowd, throwing tortillas. And I love you, Timona. I appreciate you coming on. I know you're talking about the stuff in the fans and in the stands and stuff, but that's outside of the field of play. What we're talking about is the stuff that is happening post-game, in the middle of, at the end of the game, what has been lost. And this is what I think we have to not lose sight of. What has been lost is the sportsmanship angle of college athletics. And we're talking college athletics, even though, yes, there's NIL and all this other stuff happening. What's being lost is that young people who are supposed to be in college, they're supposed to be getting a higher education, right? They're supposed to be getting degrees, which means, just work with me here, right? They're supposed to be the leaders of our society. And I understand they're in a gladiator sport. I understand they're in a sport and they're competing and battling. But at some point, at the end, either we do two things. Either we stop the whole post-game, come to the middle of the field, shake hands and say, hey, man, good game. Way to fight hard for 60 minutes. Great job, coach. You guys did a great job of putting it on us. But either we stop all that, or coaches who are out here talking about culture over scheme and all this other stuff that y'all out here doing. Well, if your culture is to go score as many points as possible, up 25 points with 30 seconds to go, and you're still trying to score points, you're trying to embarrass your opponent.
Let me say this real quickly. Go ahead.
Hold on, let me finish. Hold on, Coach. Let me finish. Hold on, Coach. You're trying to embarrass. Don't miss me on that. I'm trying to get in the third string guys. Nah, the hell with that. You're trying to embarrass your opponent. Maybe you're trying to cover the point spread. I don't know. Whatever it is, you aren't living in this world of sportsmanship because then when guys at the end of the game start fighting on the other side of the field and the coach's like, oh, I didn't see what happened. I didn't see what happened because I was over here. Yeah, well, coach, your guys, your culture that you created, the culture where you have players who are losing their freaking minds at the end of the game. I mean, where's the accountability? So at some point, whether it be the ADs, the commissioners, the presidents of the university, somebody's going to have to come all together to stop just sending press releases, stop sending fines. You're going to have to do something more. Otherwise, let's all stop. If y'all really care about it, if you really care, then something more has to be done than what is being done. And it's going to, if it really matters, then you will own up to the fact that, you know what, we might lose players for the next game. So but some of y'all
guess what? All the people in the chat room go be pissed off because y'all have lost a player because why did they suspend him? Why did they suspend him? So y'all can't have it both ways in that chat room. Either we gonna have the discipline and be able to deal the punishment when necessary, or we gonna allow these players to continue on with this mess. And also, y'all talking about it start at home. You know, here's the one thing that do start at home, and I see it because I've coached at all levels. I've coached from youth, middle school, high school, and at the collegiate level. When you, mommy and daddy, talking about them cheating ass referees, they get into those kids' head. Mm-hmm. And now them kids out there talking about them cheating ass referees. And then they start talking shit back and forth. They talk shit at the referees. They talk shit at the other team. And you talk enough shit to somebody, how much, Farasi, you might be bigger than me, thicker than me. I'm a little bit taller than you, but how much shit you gonna think? How much shit you gonna talk to me before I get pissed off? That's my point.
We've lost it.
That's my point.
Look, I love all y'all in the chat. We got to keep this rolling. I want to respond to a few things I see in the chat.
K-Ferg.
I love
K-Ferg come in on this, man.
Yeah, hold on. No, Chris wants no part of this. Coach, we can give you the last word. Coach, we gotta keep this thing moving. So I want to give you the last minute here. Any final thoughts here that you want to get in regarding this topic? And we'll put a pin on this and hopefully maybe have a more nuanced discussion after we see what comes out of the conference's final statements regarding this. But go ahead, Coach. I'm going to give you the last word, and then we got to go to break.
Thank you. Goes back to my beginning statement. Presidents, commissioners, ADs, head coaches, you got to come together, and you got to stand together and come up with a plan. Stop babysitting. Stop giving these kids chances. Give them an opportunity. Opportunity being part of something great. Opportunity about continued education. If you don't want that, go elsewhere. If you embarrass us to that point where that happens, we have to let you go. And once again, someone's going to try you. That's just the nature of young kids. Someone's going to try you. Unfortunately, as much as it pains me or anyone wants to get rid of a young man, you have to. And once that happens, everybody's going to say, oh, they probably just ran 4,000 yards to get rid of him? Yes, because we told you guys at the beginning in August, we're not having that. And until that happens, unfortunately, that stupid stuff happens. Once again, I say it all the time, like Dre said in Tupac, and we want to do the dumb stuff, stay in Compton. Once again, shout out to Compton. I got partners out there on the west side, Paul Roos. But still, if you want to do that stuff, stay home. But when you come to school, go to school, it's about being a student athlete. Fellas, I appreciate you. I'll be in the chat.
All right, watch out, Coach. It's hot in the chat room right now. I'm like, be careful. Be careful in the chat room, Coach.
I almost, Bryan, and if I offended somebody with the 4-letter word I used, I apologize for that, but I don't apologize for my tone, though.
It's all good. I mean, look, this is a hot conversation because it needs to be had. I love all the comments, and I whether I disagree or agree with you, I respect that everyone's perspective is different, and Okay.
Hey,
we can
hey Bryan, we gotta get to the break because we don't want to cheat K.
I got you. Okay. Hey,
Coach,
thanks for your time. I got you. Thanks for your time, Coach. Let's take a break. Come back. Hit the thumbs up and the like button. I mean, whether you agree or disagree, you're in the chat room. You're watching the show. We appreciate you coming in. Hit the thumbs up and the like button if you would for us. We're going to take a short break. Come back. Chris Ferguson, D2K Ferg, coming on. We're going to talk about the Division II setup for the SIAC CIAA champs, and he was at the CIAA championship game. He saw it firsthand. So we'll talk to Chris about what he saw. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Lavert Experience and Sunshine Anderson. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app that brings Eatonville's legacy to life from your phone. Enjoy family-friendly STEM activities and explore over 80 unique vendors. Please don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets or to become a vendor. We'll see you in Eatonville, the oldest Black incorporated municipality in the country.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan Fulford, A.D. Drew. Joining us is Chris Ferguson, D2K Ferg. I know Chris thought he was just going to come in and talk about the D2 playoffs, and all of a sudden, it's like fire. There's a fire pit going on.
He walked into a Drew session, mountaintop session.
I was like, what in the world is going on?
Oh man, all kinds of stuff going on, man. I can't even keep up with it. Interesting stuff. All right, Chris. Let's talk about the CIAA championship game and the champions themselves. Again, Virginia Union, back-to-back champs. Dr. Alvin Parker cements himself as probably one of the top coaches in HBCU football, in maybe Division II football. What kind of give us your takeaways on what you saw of this rematch? A rematch between Virginia Union and Virginia State, 17-13, much lower score than the first time these two teams played a week earlier.
Yeah. It was definitely unusual to have sort of a back-to-back, but this has always been like one of the dreams that you would have, like the two best teams in the conference, regardless of divisions, squaring up in the championship game. And we got that this year, right? With, no disrespect to Johnson C. Smith. And what was kind of just noticeable was, I kind of expected both coaches to do some adjustments. The week before, you had Virginia State giving up 200 yards worth of penalties, and you have Virginia Union turning over the ball four times. So something sort of had to give there. And I think you kind of saw that. It was a really, really tight game in the first half. But Virginia Union, they sort of stayed patient. They went to the passing game when necessary, went to their number one target in R.J. Vick for big plays and sort of played the field position game. And I think this game just came down to little things, like that fake field goal attempt in the first quarter for Virginia State. That was a big one. There were certainly questions about kicking and just getting a field goal with 6 minutes left in the game for Virginia State when they needed a touchdown just to tie. And I would just say, at the end of the game, it all came down to one man, that one-man show known as Jada Byers. And when they wanted to run the ball and wanted to pick up critical third downs down the stretch, they gave it to Jada Byers. And need 5, he gets 7. They need 2, he get 4. And he did just enough to put that game out of reach for Virginia Union. So congrats to the Panthers on the bounce back. And really the one game that mattered the most was just a championship game.
All right. Kris, I got to ask you this question. WSSU Ram Nation. Was it the best 2 teams? And that's interesting because especially when you consider Johnson C. Smith beat both of these teams.
Yeah.
And were it not for St. Augustine's, Johnson C. Smith is in his championship game against one of these 2 teams. So
I mean, yeah.
Was it? And then obviously Winston-Salem had something to say about it. Livingstone had something to say about it. So I mean, there were 5 legit teams right there. Shaw hung around for a long time. Fayetteville has been the kings of what was the Southern Division. So was it really the best 2 teams? They may have been the best 2 teams record-wise on the games that counted, because there were some games that didn't count. That if they would have counted, we'd have had different scenarios. But anyway, the floor is yours, Kris.
Well, you ever hear a semi when they put it in reverse and they hear the beeping sound? That was the sound. That wasn't a semi. That was Johnson C. Smith the last 2 games of the season, just going in reverse. And so they built up this really great resume, right? And they fumbled the bag the last 2 games of the season. If you're Livingstone, you got to feel pretty good about what you have just accomplished and the way that you ended JCSU's season in just such dramatic fashion. But at this point in the season, I just don't think JCSU was one of the 2 best teams. And they had an opportunity to do that. And so what? Early in the season, you got teams. It just seemed like, and maybe it's just coincidence, but that Winston State game, they wanted that game. And after that, it's like, where's the fire? Where's the drive? It just, how you get shut out by Fayetteville State? I mean, come on. Really? No. JCSU is not in that conversation of the 2 best teams. They're not.
Wow. That was not the answer I was expecting.
Yeah, no. Is Jada Byers the best football player in Division II football, Kris?
Not statistically, he's not. He's number 2 in rushing, across the country. But Shavon Wright out of Charleston, he's got him by a couple hundred yards right now,
and about 60 more carries also.
Is his team in the playoffs though?
Yes, they went undefeated. They're the number 2 seed in Super Region 1. And then you got the quarterback who won last year, Zach Zabrowski out of Central Missouri. They're not in the playoffs, but he's having a really great season as well. He is tops in the nation in passing again. But Jada Byers, is he up there? Absolutely. Should it be top 5 again? I think you got a case for it, but it's a kind of a down year for running backs in general. And you really need to get to 2,000 yards rushing to have a chance at the Harlan Hill, I feel like.
Is that just a product of running backs in general? I mean, it seems like all these Heisman, I mean, like, unless you're a Heisman, unless you're a Travis Hunter who does every snap on both sides of the ball, unless you're a unicorn in a non-quarterback position, are we just going to have to accept that the days of a non-2,000-yard back, which, I mean, God, how rare is that? You're just never going to win either the quote-unquote Heisman. We're just resigned to that now?
I mean, I feel like it. There have been instances in recent memory of defensive players getting some shine in Harlan Hill voting, like finalists, the top 8. But it just feels like we're in such a passing league, and Division II in particular. There's a pretty big gap between have and have-nots, And I think that when you can get that one player that's like really, really strong, one quarterback that's really strong, 4,000 yards is not out of the question in particular. And that's probably not enough to win. I just think in Division II in general, the statistics are, I think it's down a little bit this year. And I think that's why you see a lot of results that you're seeing where I think you have a lot more like 2 lost teams making the playoffs right now, and the conferences beating up on each other. I think there's a lot more parity this year. And I think you also see that in the statistics with a lot of players as well.
All right. Let's go ahead and break down the regions here. Drew, go ahead. I'm going to see if I can kind of pull up the graphics real quick. So that way people who may not be familiar, but I'll go ahead and let you lead it off here.
I've got it right here if you want me to pull it up.
You got the graphic on the region?
Yeah, I've got the regional graphic right
here. Well, go ahead and pull it up then. Yeah, if you got it. If you put it in and it's overlay. Okay, so we'll start with while you pull it up, I'll go, Chris. So what we are aware is that put it in as an overlay, Drew. Put it in, if you do the image, put it in the image as an overlay.
Oh, I didn't have it. I just had the tab pulled up.
You just gonna pull it? I mean, does it show the graphic though of the brackets? Okay. I don't know if you can zoom in on it. So.
No, you asking too much.
Okay. It's live, so we'll figure it out. There you go.
Is that working?
Go one more notch in.
Let's see.
All right, so I think people can see it.
Don't break it. Yeah,
don't break it. Scroll down some. Scroll down a little bit.
There you go.
That's perfect. All right, so that's what we're looking like. You see in the bottom left, on the left side there's the quad. Miles, Miles is hosting home against Carson Newman. Let's start there, Chris. I think that's a pretty big story, the fact that Miles is hosting. Drew, you were surprised by that. What's your take, Chris? And then comment on that, Drew. Where are you at on this?
Well, Miles started like way behind, and they are the epitome of it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Their schedule lined up, and kudos to Tuskegee giving them a bit of a boost because Tuskegee's had a rough start, but by the time they got to that last game of the season, they actually were a team above 500 in terms of Division II games, and that was a boost to Miles's resume. And the beating Clark Atlanta also helped, and not seeing them having the seasons of past as well. Certainly kudos to those two teams. Those teams really helped Miles.
And Albany State also on the resume.
Right. So it was slow going at first, but between that and then also catching some breaks along the way, enabled them to get into that 4 seed.
Drew, any thoughts there? What do we know about Carson Newman? The name Carson Newman, synonymous, one of those programs that's always in the playoffs, it feels like, if not every year, every other year. What do we know about Carson Newman to date?
Well, Carson Newman had some lean years. Last time we saw Carson Newman in HBCU land was against Bowie State a couple years ago. I think it was like 19 or 21. And it was a close game. It was a hard-fought game. But Carson Newman won, and they were playing with the triple, some version of the triple option at that time. They tried to go away from it, and they quickly found themselves struggling. They brought in a head coach who I believe was at Navy and brought the option offense back. And voila, all of a sudden they had this huge turnaround in one season. And they actually split. They beat Wingate at home, and then they lost to them in the championship game yesterday. So that was certainly a boost for them and what they're doing. Particularly interesting about Carson Newman, they've had a lot of injuries, particularly a quarterback. And I think they're actually down to like their 5th string quarterback now. But I mean, hey, it's an option offense. If you got 5 guys that can run the option and do it somewhat effectively, kudos to you. And that's kind of where you see the Eagles right now.
All right. And then Virginia Union traveling on the road to take on the 2 seed Wingate. Now, Union didn't get moved to the Atlantic. And if I recall, you had a tweet where you thought Union would go to the Atlantic region, which might open the door for Johnson C. Smith. Your thoughts here on Union and why they possibly did not go to the Atlantic?
Well, there was an issue with like Virginia Union in the north part of the conference of the CIAA. It's kind of no man's land when it comes to geography. And so last year you saw Virginia Union actually switch to Super Region 1 and go to Kutztown. And it seemed like maybe they were right for that again, especially if you're trying to avoid rematches in the first round. All that kind of went out the window when JCSU didn't make it. That kind of went out the window, I felt like, because that was going to be a natural game right there with 2 teams or for 2 different conferences that are right next to each other in North Carolina. And so I think you're just in a situation here where VU had nowhere else to go, right? If you don't switch to Super Region 1, they're too far out. They're beyond. I think they're beyond 600 miles to go to Alabama. So they had no choice but to go to Wingate. And yeah, yay, Wingate! Ooh, we're so excited! Like, congratulations, you made the playoffs. You're going to Wingate. The one team nobody in Super Region 2 wants to see right now.
Wow. Drew, any thoughts there?
How do you follow that up, man?
I know, right? I was like, man, all right. So I almost feel like I should ask that question that I started in here. Who was it who asked? Emmett asked which D2 HBCU will win a playoff game, if any.
I think Miles has the better of the two teams. I think, Miles certainly has a defense that likes to slow down the run game. Now that, maybe they draw up how they kind of play against Savannah State a few years ago when Savannah was running the option offense and work with that. Because, you got to learn it real quick how to defend it and have players buy into that. I think their odds are better than Virginia Union. I just think that Wingate's defense is going to pose a lot of issues, a lot of problems. Even though Virginia Union is better than the last time they met, I still am a little concerned there. So if I had to pick the 2, it would be Miles.
Right. Now, Kris, we know as the weekly rankings were coming out, there was at least 2 CIAA teams that were in the top 7 and another one hanging around. When it's all said and done, we're back to our 1 SIAC, 1 CIAA team. So I'm going to ask a 2-part question. Number 1, why did I believe that's the SAC had wound up with the extra? Let's see, there are 2 go south, 3 go south.
2.
Let's see, we got Valdosta.
Yep.
West Alabama.
Yep, that's the 2.
All right, then you got 2 SACs, 3 SACs.
Yep.
And then the 2, 1 CIAA, 1 SIAC.
Yep.
All right. Why did we know why this SIAC didn't get a second team in, but why did the CIAA, who's been up there all year long, not get that second team in and bump one of those SAC teams? Outside the politics.
The rant that you just had when I got into the back room. Like, that's how I feel right now. And I'm trying to sort of preserve myself a little bit. But but you learn how to type. They tell you to put your fingers on the home row keys, and on your left hand is A, S, D, and F, and I could turn that into cuss words and use it all in a sentence and explain how I feel right now. Because I am pretty livid about it in the most calmest way possible. I'm probably gonna have to meditate in a little bit on this one. I'll just say this. JCSU was having some. I think they were struggling quite a bit, and they had the head-to-head matchup against VUU and against Winston-Salem State, and I just think that if you're going to honor that, then you would see JCSU in the playoffs. You would.
Winston-Salem was 7.
Yeah. But the criteria for the playoffs are there's quantitative criteria, and then there's some other things. And one of those things is head-to-head matchups. When you're that close in the rankings and the regional rankings like that, they generally honor head-to-head. The committee has in the past. They did not do that here. And it wasn't just JCSU that got shafted here. It was also Emory and Henry who got the shaft, because Emory and Henry, who was also 9-2, they beat Carson Newman. They beat Lenore Ryan, and they did not even get into the playoffs either. Some of their part of their schedule really sucked. They have Bluefield State like that, and so did Winston State did. Like Bluefield just really it's a whole lot of turnover in terms of the head coach and everything, brand new head coach. So you don't have high expectations there. But granted, like generally when you're that close, they honor head to head. It matters. And they threw that out the window when it came to JCSU. They threw that out the window when it came to Lenore Ryan, and things became very subjective, it feels like. And that's because if you're going to do that, like Winston State's numbers were better than Lenore Ryan. They were better than Carson Newman. So you're going to do that. Why don't you just throw Winston State in there and split it? Split the difference, right? 2, 2, 2, and 1. The SIAC gets 1 because they did not do all that great out of conference. You got Miles, and that's it. Everybody else,
and that's all they deserve.
And that's all they deserve. But that didn't happen here. That did not happen here. And I there's a lot of stuff I think you can sort of read between the lines. I don't know. Even Lenore Ryan yesterday, they struggled against a 1-win team in Division II in Anderson. And they only won by 3 points. It was a late field goal. They're not they also have injuries and not playing to their full potential right now either. Basically, you had 6 teams vying for 3 spots. We know one's going to go to the CIAA. We thought that was still going to be JCSU in the end, which means that Virginia Union is going to look really good. And it just didn't happen. It almost feels like the fix was in when Winston State got bumped out of the top 7 and Lenore Ryan jumped to 5. It just felt like at that point in time, looking back, hindsight 2020, that the fix was in. And that's just pretty disappointing.
So that brings up part 2 of my question, Chris. And it goes back to, I don't remember who asked the question, Brian. Will one of our HBCUs get a win? Which one, if any? Mm-hmm. And considering all these fixes, conspiracy theories, what the election is rigged, whatever you want to say about this right now.
Stop the
steal. I mean, all of that. All right. So when you consider that, Chris, is it time for us to come back with a Division II version of the Celebration Bowl. We had the Pioneer Bowl at one point in time, but it's got to be the two champions. It would have to be, in this case, it would have to be Miles, and it would have to be Union. Is it time for us to seriously start having these discussions, especially if we go one and done again, like we've done so many years?
I think the issue with that is just going to be like the Beach Bowl, right? Who's going to fund this? These schools are a lot smaller in nature. The SIAC draws well.
What if we could get it just like the Celebration Bowl? Everything that Celebration Bowl has it on a scaled down version for CIAA and SIAC.
I mean, if somehow they could get
Soldier Bowl, I don't know what we call it.
It would be compelling, but again, I think that you don't really have. They would have to tag along to what they're doing in Division I. Otherwise, you got to go to the playoffs. I mean, you have no other choice. I just think that in a scenario like this, funding is always the answer to this. And how do you fundraise and get more talent on these teams and develop them? Because it's not like the schools don't have the talent. It's just more so things like depth that matter, that happens. Look at what happened with Fort Valley, right? They played Delta State, who played arguably, them and Wingate played some of the toughest schedules in Super Region 2 and arguably the country. And they almost beat them, on the road. So I think it's just one of these things that I think you continue to find ways to get funding, to develop teams, to get more talent in. I just think that, just throwing in the towel and going to a Celebration Bowl type deal, I don't think that's the answer here. And I agree. These teams can win more playoffs than their FCS counterpart. Look, listen, the CIAA had a great season, right? As a conference, they won games. They won quite a few games out of conference. It was definitely a step in the right direction in a lot of ways. They scheduled very well, I think, this year. I don't think that they could have scripted this hardly anything better than what they did. And unfortunately, part of that is Johnson C. Smith. They faltered down the stretch when they were vying for a 1 or 2 seed, and they were basically pulling everybody along. We would have been talking about 3 CIAA teams in the playoffs if JCSU had ran the table.
They had one job.
And
they couldn't do it.
One win. All they needed was one win, right?
Yeah. If that had happened, I think the CIAA was in a great position where they would have gotten 2, possibly 3 teams in, but they faltered down the stretch. There were some things that kind of could have helped, but it wasn't enough.
Who was number 3? Obviously, we know JCSU and Union were probably your 1, 2. Who would have been that 3rd? Would it have been
Winslow State?
Would have been
Winslow State.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Winslow State would have been the 3rd. Yes. Because their numbers were actually better than Union and better than JCSU. Yeah. I agree. Lead football.
I just saw that comment.
Oh man!
I rely on these guys for nothing, man. JCSU, the zone, man. They got us all.
Oh my God!
Last thing, Chris,
hold on, I gotta put that back up because that went too fast.
Lord have mercy. All right, so Chris, as we go, all right. So just one final look at the brackets. You're predicting. Are you predicting that Miles will advance? Will you predict Miles to advance? Are you doing that on tonight's show?
Yeah, we're doing that on tonight's show.
All right, so I'll let you say that. So D2, no, you don't have to spoil it. D2football.com. Make sure to check them out tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern. You can get Kris and the rest of the guys their full breakdown of all the brackets. How many is 30? Is it 7 or 7? 28 teams?
28 teams.
28 teams. So Chris and the guys will be breaking that down. 8 p.m. Eastern coming up in less than a half an hour. So let me rephrase my question then. If Miles were to win, Valdosta State is the 1 seed. How challenging or how tough a task is it going to be for them to beat Valdosta State? It's
a monumental task because Valdosta, they can run the ball now. They can pass the ball. That's no different than last year. The numbers are down, but because they run the ball more now, and their defense is a lot better than it was last year. So it will be a Herculean task.
And like I always remind everybody, once all of our HBCUs are done at the Division II level, I then become a Valdosta State fan because they are coached by Texas Southern alum Tremaine Jackson.
Tell you, at one point we need to have that conversation. What are they doing at Valdosta State that everybody else isn't doing? We don't have to answer that question today. It's a topic for another day. But again, Chris,
and they don't, and believe it or not, they don't have the resource advantage that you would think they would have.
I agree.
That was my point. That's why I said what I just said. That's why I said what I said.
They are not the super rich school.
Yeah.
I'll be doing my Valdosta State homework after tonight's show. So
all right. Again, Chris Ferguson at D2KFerg, as where you can find him. Go check out D2football.com. The selection show, they will break down every aspect of the D2 playoffs tonight. Chris, you guys have a great show tonight. Thanks for your time as always. And we always appreciate you coming in when you do. All right.
Good to see y'all.
All right, man.
You, brother.
All right. Let's take a short break and come back. Let's talk about the Celebration Bowl from the standpoint of, we know one ticket is punched. We know the 2 teams that are going to fight for it in the SWAC. And, man, we got the historic game that took place in Tallahassee. So for those of you who are still chewing on wanting to
Bryan, that was not historic. That was tragic.
Well, it was history. Man. It was tragic history, but it was history none the same, especially for Valley. Yeah, we talking about Valley. So we'll table it. Come back, take a break. BCSN SportsWrap, part of the Black College Sports Network. We thank you for watching. We'll be back in just a second, right after these words.
Hey, grab me one too.
This is Ryan Fulford. A.D. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportsWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportsWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Choice Hotels is a family of brands that helps you get the most for your money so you can be any traveler you want to be.
You could be a free hot breakfast hero at a comfort hotel.
Yes!
That's how you waffle.
Mister, this script got a plot twist at a Radisson hotel.
A business big leaguer. Go for key. Even the ultimate pool float inflator.
With 22 brands and the best value for your money, Choice Hotels has a stay for any you. Book direct at choicehotels.com, where travels come true.
Gotta get the corners.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and A.D. here. Coming up in just a second. Got my co-host from Wednesday's O&G Strike Zone, Kelvin Rozier, going to come in and join the show. But I wanted to first make mention of, we kind of had mentioned this earlier. Got to let people know that after Saturday's 54-7 victory over Morgan State, South Carolina State ends up winning the MEAC championship, and they punched their ticket to the Celebration Bowl. Drew, that man, Chinnis Berry, right now, I gave my take 2 weeks ago on why I voted South Carolina State #1. I couldn't believe that you switched your vote, but whatever. I mean, week to
week. I thought.
What didn't they do on the road? Morgan State.
I thought Alabama. I thought Jackson State going into Alabama State and getting that victory was a better victory than this blowout victory over Morgan State. It's a week to week thing with me. I thought the previous 2 weeks, because Jackson State played Valley and UAPB, South Carolina State deserved my #1 vote. Next week, who knows? But Jackson State will probably get that vote next week. I'm just throwing it out there. They're playing an Alcorn State team who's above 500. South Carolina State is. I don't care who they playing. Nobody else that's left in the MEAC is above 500. So advantage Jackson State when it comes to the vote. Now you still gotta get the style points, but that's why I switched my vote, Brian. I'm following the rules and doing it as a week to week thing. I did not evaluate the overall body of work. You are correct. The overall body of work definitely favors South Carolina State.
No, but let's go week to week. Week to week, though. Okay, so going into this week, 2 teams went on the road. 1 team won by 6 points. The other team won by, I don't know, what day is today? It's not the weekday, so I'm trying to do the math here. 43 points? What is the math? 54 minus 7?
That's 47, bro.
47, I'm sorry. So 1 team wins by 47, the other team wins by 6, and you jump.
What's the level of the competition, though? What was Alabama State ranked?
Morgan State is, you're saying Morgan State is less than Alabama State? That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
That's
but they beat them by 43,
but anyway,
though, Drew. They beat them by 43. All right.
Anyway, while we're on South Carolina State, do you know what the significance of this championship occurring this year?
No.
This is the 50th anniversary of their first MEAC championship in 1974. You know who the coach of that team was?
Was it Willie Jeffries?
It would be Willie Jeffries.
Okay, I'm trying to think. They've only had like two coaches prior to Chinnis Berry. I feel like I know they've had more, but I feel like they've had two really extended long coaching tenures between Buddy Pugh and Willie Jeffries. So that's why I was kind of guessing it was Jeffries.
And who played on that team in 1974? Do you know one of 3 significant players on that team?
I don't know.
That would be one. Oliver Buddy Pugh was on that 1974 team.
Wow, look at the symmetry here.
And who was the athletic director who hired Chinesbury?
Buddy Pugh.
That would be one Oliver Buddy Pugh.
Oliver Buddy Pugh. Wow, look at the symmetry.
Look at the symmetry. And also, Brian, I just got to throw this out there since we're talking about it. That on that 1970.
Lost you there. Hold on a second. Say again on the what? All right, Drew's Wi-Fi. Something happened to Drew's signal. All right, well, Drew, while you try to figure that out and once you come back, let me bring in my guy, Kelvin.
I'm back. All right.
Okay.
2 players who on that team, Brian, you may have heard of these names. One, Harry Carson.
Okay.
And another guy by the name of Donnie Shell. Born in 1974 team, along with Oliver Buddy Pugh. You know, they've got some gold jackets somewhere hanging in the closet. So, yeah, a lot of symmetry in that team. And last thing before, as we bring Kelvin in, how many MEAC championships has South Carolina State won?
Ooh, I'm gonna guess this is number 20.
You cheated.
No, I didn't. I knew it. Well, I knew they were already into like 18 or 19. So yeah. I was guessing that they had already won 18 or 19, and so I just figured 20.
We see y'all was talking about cheating referees. Now we got cheating podcast hosts. So come on, Kelvin, come on in, man. I can't be around these cheaters, man. They cheating, man. They cheating.
Let me bring in my guy. Never doubted, undoubted. Will always brag differently. My brother, Kelvin Rozier of the O&G Strike Zone. Say hello to the family walking by. Making a cameo on the SportsWrap. What up, family? What up, fam? Kelvin, brother. I was gonna before we get into talking about, because I don't want anyone to think that we don't give credit where credit is due, right? So let me show the graphics so that we can get out, the congratulations first and foremost to Jackson State on winning the East by virtue of their victory over Alabama State. They are 1 game away from going 8-0. So congratulations to them. And also, congratulations to Southern University. On wrapping up the West. I don't think we saw them. I don't think we thought that would happen so early. So, congratulations to Southern for winning the West. They're 6-1. Of course, all that's left is the Bayou. And even if they were to lose that game, which Terrence Graves has never lost to Bayou, no matter what school he is at, he has never lost the Bayou Classic. They have the tiebreaker over Alcorn. So there it is. And congratulations to Terrence Graves, who, I don't know if you heard his post game, but he's a winner. So yeah, do with that what you will. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts going into this Sunday, Kelvin, after probably one of the most historic losses for Florida A&M in the modern era, after losing the Valley Saturday?
Well, before I talk about the Valley game, let me just say that I enjoyed HBCU football at large this weekend. Kudos to Southern for doing what they had to do. And hold on one second.
A lot of people in the house today.
It is. Hey, it's birthday weekend, just so you know, right? So
okay.
My wife's birthday was yesterday, and my birthday is tomorrow. So
exactly. Okay.
So yeah, it's a lot of folks in the house.
Okay.
But
all right.
But so kudos to Southern for doing what they needed to do and winning the West, and kudos to Jackson State for being consistent. The two things with both of those teams versus our team specifically, and just in the HBCU in general, was that they were consistent. Southern, they keep the game close, winning in the fourth quarter. were consistent with that formula, and they did it enough to win the West. Jackson State, they were front runners, right? They jumped out on teams. They might have kept some teams in it by halftime, but 4 or 5 in a row they shut out teams in the second, and on a 7-8 game win streak. So they did what they needed to do. So kudos to them. Kudos to South Carolina State, who did what they also needed to do in terms of I was really impressed how convincingly they beat Morgan State.
Yep.
Morgan State played a lot of other teams a lot better than that, a lot closer. So South Carolina State is a team that when we played them early in the season to the team they are now, you saw improvement and growth. They got better. The one thing we can now back to our game and just our team in general, we're the opposite of that. I don't think anybody questions the talent, but this team looks just like the team that played Norfolk State 11 weeks later, right? Can't count on them to have ball security. You fumble going into the end zone, running the ball early. You have an unforced turnover at the end of the game when you're going in to win the game, put the game away. You lost a turnover battle. You gave up special teams, again, gave up, points, missed field goal as well as field position, had a big return. Then you had dumb penalties, right? You didn't stop Valley and you got a chance to get the ball, and guys are, when the game is, when the whistle hasn't blown and it's live ball, you can go and hit somebody. You don't hit nobody. But then you get to the sideline, right? And they talking a little bit, you talking a little bit. Now you want to talk and hit somebody. I mean, our football IQ has just not been there all year from the team. So it's the team and the coaches. I've got some more thoughts that I'm gonna save for the ONG. But at the end of the day, this is a very disappointing. This season has went from running back cozy to
runaway cozy.
No, that's pretty funny. But to disappointment at the end of the day, because the standards are the standards. And that's gonna be the theme of the show for ONG. I already done put the script together. The standard is the standard.
What is that standard? Yeah.
So this team, this staff, the one thing I can say, they didn't come together at the end of the day. If you really think about what this season has looked like and the inconsistency, talk about leadership. There's been some off the field discussions, in terms of play calling, personnel within the ranks. Forget the fans and the media folks, within the team itself. They failed to come together and they failed to meet the standard, and that's disappointing. I mean, kudos to Valley. I mean, they won a game. We lost the game. However you want to look at it, half full, half empty. But it's just been really disappointing. So now we've got our rival coming up. We got the Classic coming up. I'm sure the ticket sales are probably picked up since that loss, because the Rattlers is going to be there anyway. But
Dude has hope. But Dude's probably feeling good about themselves. They're like, we might be able to get them this year.
Yeah. So we'll see. Everything that mattered to Rattler Nation, everything that mattered to me. Chance to defend the title, the Celebration Bowl, chance to keep the win streak at Bragg. This team has given it all up. They're giving it all up. And then to do it against Valley, 0-10 Valley. I'm not going to sugarcoat this, man. I mean, this is
31-point underdog.
This is pretty. No, this is horrible. It is not the standard. Let's put it that way.
No. One of the things my takeaway in hearing Coach Colsey's post-game press conference, you could tell in the post-game he knew that he had one responsibility, right? And people will say win homecoming, beat Bethune, but it was also to keep that streak alive. But I also remember him always talking about how this team would be able to come together as being one of the challenges that they would have to deal with. Now, you could talk about on the field and the penalties. You could talk about the more so the fumbles, the turnovers, the inability to make turnovers, the inability to. You can talk about all those things, but I think he always talked about, can this team come together? Because the last 2 years, the teams were very tight, very connected. And that is in large part why I think the last 2 years they had the kind of success they had. Remember, 40 some odd players departed, which meant you had so many new players coming in. And this was a worry. This was one of my worries at the preseason. We had never seen a team with the volume of turnovers have the success yet that, FAMU had, or that anyone has had. I mean, we had the most in FCS or in the HBCUs, right? So that was a factor. You mentioned it. Being able to come together was a thing. But I'll tell you this. In watching that presser, he won't say it publicly. And it sounds weird to say. It might sound weird, but if you've coached and you've been in this spot, you'll know what I'm talking about as I say this. It is tougher to follow the success of a legend than it is to come in and build or rebuild something. So for the crowd that'll say that Willie Simmons compares his first year compared to James Colsey, Willie Simmons was having to rebuild something that was broken. Colsey was coming in trying to maintain something that was built. That the latter, in my opinion, is much harder. And so this streak is now over. The streak against non-SWAC teams, not named Jackson State, is over. And so at this point for Colsey, it's really an opportunity to kind of rebuild this team into the way that he wants it to be built. And he has that leverage now. If he felt pressure to bring on assistant coaches who are already on staff and give them a shot, whether he chooses to keep them or not, he gets to now build this program in his vision. And, he's got 2 years on the contract to do it. And so, he'll begin the task of doing that in his way, in his shape, in his form. And that part is probably refreshing for any coach, but it's dissatisfying for all of the people who watch, support, and love FAMU football. And if you've been in that situation, you know what I'm talking about. And so I'll just kind of leave it at that. So,
Hey, Brian, now the only thing I'll add to that is that I really love Rattler Nation. So people talk about, dysfunction and shoulda, couldas and everything. The bottom line is this for me. The players said, they talked about NIL. Well, FAMU has a couple of NILs since that subject came up, and they are growing and doing fantastic things. We did some things to improve facilities, and there's some things that behind the scene that are going on that's going to take us to an even higher level. I like the fact that you have a passionate fan base, and I like a network and forums like this to kind of balance that fanaticism with some reality and some facts and some soberness from time to time, which not everybody has. So, FAMU football, because you got to remember now, volleyball just went undefeated and won the conference and has a chance to get a title. cross country has just finished second, winner up this fall. We, unlike a lot of teams, we don't have soccer and men's cross country and so forth. Golf have one of few programs. Our athletic program is extremely successful and academically successful. And so part of that is because we have standards and expectations, and we push hard to make sure that, you know, excellence is the standard, it's the goal. And, you know, from time to time, you're going to miss sometimes. But if you miss shooting for the stars, that's a beautiful thing. The sin is not having no goals at all, or having goals that are too low. So I'm very encouraged and I'm excited because, as Dion said when he got to Colorado, we coming.
All right. I want to get a dose of reality here. Now, both y'all saying the right thing in public, but we all know that there's this person whose birthday was between your wife's birthday and your birthday, whose birthday is today. And we all know how that brother loved FAMU football and how he would be reacting today. And for those who don't know who I'm talking about, I am talking about the late, great Kofi Hemingway. So, Kelvin, you grew up with him. You know him better than any of us. What would Kofi be saying about these last 2 weeks, my brother?
You know, Kofi was all about winning. I mean, we grew up, I mean, just think about it. We grew up 70s babies where we won a national championship, not a HBCU national championship, but a 1AA national championship. We beat the University of Miami. We also was in school and, well, right out of school during the Billy Joe years and watching the dominance. So, you know, not just in football, in every sports during the 90s to the early 2000s. I mean, how many volleyball championships we had in tennis, you know, between the battles between us and soccer, the state men's and women. And so, you know, Kofi is about excellence. Always was, always will be. That's his legacy. And that's why he was so vocal and active and why he was such an instrumental part of the ONG and really helping this thing to come together. He's the one that reached out to me. So, you know, Kofi would have been extremely vocal and he would have been extremely disappointed because the reality is you can't lose the valley.
Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I lose to Mississippi Valley. Mississippi Valley has come into the highest of 7 hills and sent our beloved Rattlers.
I see that one of the questions that I'm getting that was in the chats regarding the MEAC and SWAC and the Celebration Bowl is not only who will I be pulling for in the Celebration Bowl, but Kelvin, somebody, I think the same person asked, who will we be pulling for? Will we be pulling for the MEAC or the SWAC?
Okay.
That's
you asking me that question? Because you know how I give it.
I'm putting it. I don't know how I want to answer that question because, you know, I know some people have already got your presumptions.
Here's the thing. Is it pulling for, or who is it that after you do the analysis that you think will have the best opportunity to win? That's 2 different conversations.
Can I wait to see the Vegas line first before I put my can I wait? Can I at least wait to see?
Can we see who the opponent is?
Yeah, let me wait to see whether it's Southern or
because depending on who it is, you may favor one of them coming out the SWAC against the MEAC. You may figure the MEAC over the SWAC if it's the other opponent.
Hey,
Can we get there?
Hey, here's something interesting to that point. People kind of glossing over, ain't talking about it right now. There was an ugly incident at the end of that game. There's going to be
Which game? Which game?
Well,
it was like 4 or 5 of them this weekend.
Right, but we talking about the SWAC championship game now. So Jackson State, Alabama State. So I'm interested to see, given what the conference said and did with FAMU Purview the week before, to what kind of penalties are going to be shelled out. I mean, you're going to have you definitely, given that precedent, going to have to have multiple.
Let me read that because you sent this to me. This must have come out tonight, or this. When did this come out? A couple days ago.
Which one?
The SWAC, the suspension and fines for the A&M Prairie View game.
Yeah, it was like midweek, like Wednesday or Thursday. Thursday, I think it came out Thursday.
Oh, okay. So this had already took effect into the game that was played on Saturday, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the SWAC announced the suspension of 2 student athletes, one from Florida A&M, one from Prairie View. Do you know who that player was from FAMU and who the player was from Prairie View?
For FAMU, there was something that was glaringly missing. I'm not going to say the name right now, but there was one player who played against Prairie View, and it was glaringly missing on the defensive side of the ball.
Oh, okay.
So that's my assumption.
Okay. No confirmation on that. Okay.
No.
In addition to the suspensions, both schools were fined $25,000, each due to their involvement in the incident. FAMU decided to appeal the fine imposed. Okay. Now, I don't have the Prairie View side, so I don't know a Prairie View fine. Now, with that said, and what your point is, following what happened in Jackson State and Alabama State, Jackson State still has a regular season game against Alcorn this week, so it's not
Alabama State has Tuskegee.
Yeah, so unless something of a 2-game nature were to come out, if someone is suspended from Jackson State, and if it's 1 game, then it would just be the Alcorn game, and that player would most likely be eligible for the championship game.
I just want to say this. I do expect both conferences, as we've had incidents in both conferences, to what I like to say overcorrect based on the situations that have occurred. I expect something to come out from the conference office early this week. There probably may see adjustments made in post-game festivities, what's allowed post-game in the SWAC championship game. Expect to see something different in the Celebration Bowl as far as what's going to happen post-game in the Celebration Bowl, given all of this stuff, because we've got to protect our entity. These people writing us checks, they're not going to continue to write us checks if we're going to be putting out all this garbage. If we want to do stuff like this, y'all go star on First 48 or one of them other reality shows. This is not the reality show where we need to be seeing people fight. World Star Hip Hop videos, something else. Don't do it when we on the 4-letter. Don't do it when we on the 6-letter. Hell, don't do it in our stadiums, period. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would love to see, whether it be the commissioner of the MEAC, commissioner of the SWAC. I would even recommend to Mr. Grant before the Celebration Bowl, with all team personnel in the room, go to each team and say verbatim to them, gentlemen, ladies, if you're there, you represent not only your families, your university, but this entity and this HBCU product. So, as hard as it is, check yourselves, check your teammates, coaches, be better, and check your players. And find a way to not let the extra chippiness and talkative stuff that goes on, don't let that cause you to embarrass yourselves, your school, your family, and all the other things that come with this. And I think that's how you start, Drew. Now,
Now I've got a question for Kelvin, especially Kelvin. Kelvin came from the ops side. So one thing that I've been saying to a lot of people offline, Kelvin, and I'll say this online now, me being in administration, we don't have these conversations when we have our ops meetings and other meetings, either preseason or our weekly meetings as we gear up for whatever game it is, football, basketball, baseball, whatever. We don't have these conversations about incidents like this possibly happening and making sure that we have things in place, at least in my experience. Because when we have those conversations, it's a 5-minute conversation. Yeah, we got EAP. Yeah, okay, we got EAP. We don't review the EAP. We don't review the security things, as often as we should, in my opinion. You came from ops, Kelvin. Please add, tell me if I'm right, tell me if I'm wrong, and add to it.
So when I was around and Vaughn was around, we had weekly ops meeting, and all the people are at the table, right? All the leadership of those different areas that are at the table. We also used to have volunteers at the gates. We stopped that and we brought in licensed companies with management here, away from Bragg. And I was surprised that, they weren't Alabama. I'll call names, Alabama State and Jackson specifically. I was surprised that they weren't scanning in terms of they didn't have security people using wands or going through any kind of metal detectors, and that it was very relayed and lax. I mean, it got you in the game, but in terms of actual game day protocol security, it was a lot of risk there. And so, yes, there's no deep dive into it because you expect some things to be routine. All right, handshakes should be routine. I'm sorry, that's a reflection of the players and the leadership on the team and those coaches. I mean, at the end of the day, you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. And we talk about sportsmanship all the time. I would tell you now, when we had the 2-hour meetings before the kickoff with the refs, I could tell you they went over that kind of stuff from time to time, particularly if you had a previous incident, or in our case, you had a band that runs over their halftime allotment consistently. I would tell you they brought it up every game ops meeting on game day. And it was my responsibility as somebody who worked with me to go and make sure if the band didn't have a representative there to tell them, hey, this is what was said in the ops meeting today. So you do talk about those things, but you don't spend a exorbitant time talking about it, because handshakes should be handshakes.
They should be.
And I understand. I was there. I was there trying to break up a situation with A&T.
2018.
Yeah, so it does happen, and on the fly, there were some things where you shifted personnel, brought more people behind the bench, and you redistributed to try to make sure that you minimize the risk. So there's some schools do more than others, but I can tell you there's a cost to it, and I've heard AD Suggs talk about this, and this is something that people don't talk about, but people who in administrations understand: capacity. A lot of times, our universities, HBCUs, sacrifice some of those game ops things because they don't have the capacity, meaning the money or the people, the personnel, to operate, do it at a level that it be done should be done, or how it's done at other universities. So you end up doing the best you can with what you have, and a lot of times, folks, it ain't a problem till it's a problem.
Mm-hmm. But when it becomes a problem, it could become dangerous.
Absolutely, it's necessary, and there are the NCAA has protocols as to personnel, what kind of personnel you need at the bench, not just for football but basketball too. There's supposed to be someone there, some kind of security there with the visiting teams and so forth. But you have to read those manuals, those game day operations manuals. And I would tell you, not everybody who works in that department knows that information or reads that information, frankly. And
then for those who do read it, Kelvin, they don't get heard when they are sitting at the table. Nobody pays attention to that person sitting at the table.
To that point, they don't have a budget for it.
How do you budget safety, though, Kelvin? How do you budget safety?
Man, budgeting safety.
How do you budget safety? And I asked this question. Ask my other alma mater, what happens when you don't budget safety? Shout out to Tuskegee.
Well said. Well, hey, Kelvin, we appreciate your time tonight, man. Again, like I said, I wanted to bring you on. Birthday for this guy right here. And you and your wife and you guys are having that birthday yesterday. Let her know happy birthday. And then, obviously I'll shout you out tomorrow. But I wanted to bring you on to bring you on, wish you happy birthday, to just recognize, Kofi and bring you on, because if I didn't bring someone on outside of me and Drew to talk about what happened, our fans who are watching in the streams, they'll swear that we're hiding. That Raptor Nation is hiding. Now we ain't hiding. We out here. We here.
Well, no, that's the beauty of it, man. I mean, because we've won so much and we have all these different accolades and championships and titles, when we take it on the chin, we lost. We lost. We don't duck and run. None of that. That ain't the Rattler way.
No, we'll be back. We'll be back. So enjoy your moment in the sun. And when we come back, just be ready. Just be ready. The venom is the venom, and it hits different. It hits you different. So just be ready. Just be ready. Yes, and you'll always be able to hold that we lost the valley on us. Yes, Kerry, you'll always be able to hold that over our head. Yes, we lost the valley. Yeah, but okay. I agree. It's officially basketball season for me. I'm on the basketball. I'm ready. We got to take care of Bethune, but I'm on the basketball. I'm ready to go. So hey, Kelvin, man, you and the family and everybody there, be well. Have a happy birthday, and I'll shout you out tomorrow, and we'll talk on Wednesday. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. right here on the Black College Sports Network. We're on the Bethune-Cookman, so. That's it. Standard
and volleyball championship.
That's right. Yes, exactly. The volleyball championships, SWAC volleyball championships, are this week in Grambling, Louisiana. The undefeated, unbeaten Lady Rattlers are coming to town, looking to get their rings back. So, we do have that to look forward to this week.
And we did beat Valley and Jackson State this weekend in volleyball. Pow.
Take that. All right.
All right, fellas.
All right, holla at you.
All right, later.
Okay, Drew. Let's pick up and get out of here. Been a good show. Lots to talk about. A lot of interesting comments. Didn't get a chance to address them all, but nature of the beast sometimes. But
they still talk about them refs. They still talk about them refs in the chat, bro.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna go there. All I'm gonna do is say thank you to everybody who chimed in, everybody who commented, who watched, who hit the thumbs up and the like button wherever you are, who became a subscriber. You've been a subscriber. We thank you for watching the content here on the Black College Sports Network. Want to encourage everybody to go download the BCSN Pod Zone. If you're a podcast listener and you miss any parts of the show, or maybe, whatever, add the BCSN Pod Zone to your subscription and download the podcast. Just, you know, I don't care if you listen, download it, be a part of it, hit the thumbs up, rate and review it. It all helps the algorithm. It all helps us out. So, yeah, that'll do it for tonight's show. I want to thank Coach Farasi Norman. Want to thank Chris Ferguson, D2football.com. Go check them out. They're doing a post-game or a selection preview show tonight. And, of course, Kelvin Rozier. I want to thank all of them. Drew, you got the final word. Let's get ready to get out of here. Go ahead.
Number one, thanks, Lawrence, for bringing that up. I was going to bring that up. Everybody, let's keep an eye on Tennessee State. They still got a chance not only to win the OVC/Big South, but also a good chance of making the FCS playoffs. So for all of those whose team is out of it and you're looking for a team to root for, and if you can't root for that other team in the MEAC or that other team in the SWAC, go with our independent and root for Tennessee State. Let's go, Coach Eddie George and Tennessee State Tigers. Let's see if they can pull it off. I'm really pulling for Tennessee State. That's number one. Number two, for those of you all who have moved on to basketball season, like probably about 90% of the people on this podcast right now. Hey, yeah. I need y'all to do me a favor, especially on the Division II level. A lot of our Division IIs are starting their home schedule now. Their conference schedule will start up in December, January, but the conference schedule starts up while students are not on campus. So these young men and young ladies will be having home games without the general student body there. If there is a Division II or any HBCU in your area, especially playing in December, early January, please go out and support them, because there won't be a whole lot of people there to support them. They need people there during those times, because Brian, just like in football, it was the phrase, every game counts. Those early games in December in the SIAC and the CIAA is going to make a difference for one of those teams coming down the stretch in February. So please go out and support them. Just show up, cheer for whichever team you want to, don't care, but come out and support them during that time. And one of the reasons I'm employing this, Morehouse has 6 games, Brian, due to the conference schedule, when students won't be on campus this year.
Wow, that's tough.
And that's tough. That's tough. We have 6 games in December and January when students will not be there. So, obviously we'll be reaching out to the community, trying to get the community in. So be a part of that community in whatever city. And if you're in Atlanta, come on down to the house. Come on to the AUC and join us over at the house. Tell them Drew sent you. I might let you in.
Another person at the game. Like, Drew sent me down. Who? Yeah,
who?
Drew. Oh. Okay. All right. Well, hey, again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating.
Hey, Edwin, that's a conference thing. It wasn't our choice.
Again, thank you all for participating, being a part of the show, finding a way to support. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe to the Black College Sports Network and our show, Facebook, Instagram, X, the BCSN Pod Zone, any and all ways. We appreciate you for being a part of the show. For A.D. Drew, I'm Brian Fulford. Good to see you back again, reunited once more.
It feels so good.
Feels so good. We'll be back next week, next Sunday, 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 Central for the BCSN SportsWrap. Have a great week, everybody. Be well, treat somebody well, and choose peace over war and snippiness. There, I said it. Peace out, everybody.